Hi there, I'm Kristin Hanggi, and I am endlessly fascinated by the place where creativity and spirituality intersect. And recently I started this blog series on my website, and my best friend John turns to me and he goes, "Okay, I like your written blogs, I do, but you're so good live. Have you ever thought of doing like a video blog series?" And immediately this scared the hell out of me. Okay, what? You want me to put myself out there live for everybody? How scary and vulnerable. I don't know if I want to do that. But in my teaching, I talk about how we have to do the things that we're afraid of. And if I'm going to preach it, then I guess I have to practice it, right? So here I am, all vulnerable and shit. But since I started putting these video blogs in motion, I've started to get like all these signals from the universe that I absolutely have to say my truth out loud. It's like I can't even get out of it. It's like everywhere I've turned this week, it's like, you gotta do it, you gotta do it, you gotta do it. And then I got this quote by Nelson Mandela, and he knew what he was talking about. He said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Okay, all right, I can do that. I have this gigantic passion for people creating what's in their hearts. And I think it's because I've been so blessed in my career and I've gotten to see so many of my visions come true that I literally just want to like run around the world and shake people and tell them like, do you know that thing that's in your heart? It can happen, it wants to happen, it wants to come true. And I think as artists and creators, we're given these visions, this work, and then it becomes our job to take these visions and bring them into fruition. It's like why we're here. See, I believe that if we have faith and we act on our vision, then the universe will rearrange itself to help us out. If you're interested in hearing more about my thoughts on the creative process, you can always go over to my website and read my blog. And I go into a lot more detail about how to get those visions from the inside out. But for my first video blog, I thought long and hard about what I wanted to talk about. And I realized that there was a woman who was really responsible for my whole metamorphosis. And that was my girl, Florence Scovel Shinn. Okay, so I had a friend give me this book when I was going through some like hard times, and it really catapulted my change. Now, Flo, as I like to call her, is one of my favorite spiritual teachers. She taught in New York in the 1920s. She was a fine artist and an actress. I just love that she was in the theater. And she taught a lot about the power of our words. One of Florence's books was called Your Word is Your Wand. And she believed that our words were like incantations, and they were filled with magic and power, and that with our words we had the ability to transmute our failures into successes. It sounds like a little hocus pocusy, right? Now, there's another spiritual teacher, a modern day spiritual teacher that I love. Her name is Danielle Laporte, and she had this experiment she did with her son. It was on Facebook a few weeks ago. Okay, so her and her son, they took an apple and they cut it in half, and they put the two halves in separate mason jars. To one half of the apple, they talked to and they said, "Hello, beautiful apple, you're gorgeous, you're thriving, you're beautiful." And then to the other half of the apple, they said, "Oh, you're ugly, you suck, you're a rotting, rotten apple." Okay, and then she shows the picture on her website of the two halves of the apple. And literally, one is all rotted and the other one looks great. But it really makes you think, right? Like, is the energy that we are putting into things really affecting them? Like, do we have the power to change things that much with our words, with our thoughts, with how we view things? And as artists and creators, what are we doing with our work? How are we viewing the work that we do? How are we viewing ourselves in the work? How are we viewing how the world is going to respond to our work? Could we really affect life that much if we made those changes in our speech and in our inner dialogue? So that's what I want to talk about, using the work of Florence Scovel Shinn as a jumping off point. So that's what we're going to do next week. I'll see you then.